Hello and welcome to Board Game Gumbo. Today we're unboxing Super Motherload from Roxley Games. This is a game for 2 to 4 players that plays in 60 to 75 minutes. It's got some deck building elements to it as well as some tile placement. First of all, we got quite a few extra bags, which is always nice to see. A couple decks of cards. Let's take a look at our rulebook real quick. Here we have some punchboard, including our game boards. So let's get all that out of there. So here are our game boards. As you can see, this game is about drilling on Mars and collecting different resources. So there are 4 game boards. Each of them has a depth on them, which you can see up in the top left here. That's basically the order in which you'll play on the boards. These little alien tokens are artifacts, and when you cover up the last artifact on a board, you will add the next board to the tableau, but there can only ever be 2. So you'll go from just having the 1 out to having out the 1 and the 2, and then the 2 and the 3 and the 3 and the 4. Unless you're playing with 2 players, in which case you will skip board 3. And all these boards have different elements on them. You see that there are several different types of tiles on these boards. There's just dirt tiles. Basically these tiles with nothing else on them except potentially resources. So anytime you cover up a tile that has a resource on it, you're going to gain that resource, including bombs and artifact tokens and what have you. There are some special rules for these plate tokens that you can see here. They are color coded because you have to use a drill action of a particular color. And there are special rules for the rock tokens. Basically, they can only be blown up with bombs. You can't drill them. So again, once you've covered up both of the artifact tokens on board 1, you'll add board 2, so you'll have more play area. These boards are also double-sided. The person who covers up the last artifact tile on a board gets to decide what side you play on. So you can play on this side, or you can flip it over and play on this one if there are more things there that you're interested in. And then the last board, depth 4 board. When you cover up the last artifact token on depth 4, that's when you'll go into final scoring. We've got a couple more boards here. So every time you cover up something, as I said, you gain it. So all these different resources you see here, you need tokens to represent them. So we've got tokens for gold, and I guess this is maybe iron, some rubies. You've got some bomb tokens. Everybody starts with a bomb, but you can always gain more. Your artifact tokens here are double-sided. So you are going to draw one randomly from this side, so you're not going to know what you're going to get. But once you have it, you have this side. And then you can spend it whenever you want by flipping it over and discarding it. It's usually a one-time use thing, but other players won't know what your token does. And then these, what look like blank tokens, are actually not blanks. Because you're going to be drilling, these are your drill tokens to mark what areas you are drilling. By the way, all this punchboard comes out really easily. It's really nice. And as you can see, the colors are nice as well. So these little tokens, if you were drilling 2 spots, you would determine where you're drilling and put the token there. Obviously, there's some rules for where you can place tokens, but that's the general idea. So we got more punchboard. This is all the same. So now we get to the last component we have here, which are our decks of cards. So there is deck building in this because essentially you can upgrade your cards, and you choose which cards you want to upgrade based off of basically personal preference. So here are our starting cards. So each player is going to start with a deck of a certain number of these cards, and they each have a color. That does matter in terms of drilling. Whenever you choose to take a drilling action on your turn, you're going to play cards and they all have to be of the same color. But if I were to play all 3 of these, for instance, I could drill 3 spaces on that round. The other thing you can do on your turn is you can draw 2 cards simply to your hand. The red cards here, you see have this little extra spot on them. And that's a card you have to use when you're taking a bomb action. If you ever play a bomb, you have to play a red card in addition to the bomb. And then this determines the spaces that you blow up with that bomb. So obviously some are less than others. In addition to that, you're going to have essentially a buy market for different pilots. And these are going to increase by value. It looks like these are already in order, so that's good. And there's a couple things here. One is obviously this card's a little bit better than your starting card because your starting card only has one drill on it. This one has two. It also has a buy bonus, which is this symbol down here. Whenever you buy this card, you're going to immediately get to do this, which is to take another action. You also see this hexagon over here. That is victory points. Anytime you see that, that's victory points. That's how you score at the end of the game. So obviously, upgrading and getting these cards are good just in terms of winning the game, but also give you more powerful actions. The price on the top right is what you need to pay them, essentially, to hire them. Whenever you acquire a resource from the main board, you're going to decide where to put that resource, and you can see that it has a value on it. So if I want this yellow card, I'm going to put this value here. And at the end of any turn in which you are adding resources to a card, if the value of the resources on the card meets or exceeds the value of the card, you're going to gain that card to your discard pile. But any overage you pay, say I had 12 here, I'm not going to keep 2. It's just going to take everything that I have. But of course, you're not just going to have a pile of yellow cards. You're also going to have a pile of red cards you can buy. So you're going to have to decide, this 5 value token, do I want to put it on the yellow to try to get that card? Or do I want to put it on the red because I want this better bomb? Or do I want to put it on the blue because he lets me draw a card after I play him? And then at the end here, you've got these wild cards, which when you play them, allow you to decide what color you're going to drill with. So you can basically play them with any other type of card. They can be yellow or blue or what have you. Or you could just play them by themselves, in which case you decide what color they are. And then we've got some additional cards back here. Again, this is your starting deck. So every card you've seen up until this point was one player's deck. Everybody's going to have a different deck. So the next player is going to have this deck of cards, and then here is his or her buy options. And then player 3. And then player 4 will be in the back here. The last type of cards we have are award cards. So there are minor awards and there are major awards. For major awards, you're going to randomly draw 3 per game and put them out. And these look like they all revolve around card accumulation. So if you have 3 blue and 3 yellow pilot cards purchased from your pile, you'll acquire this major achievement. And you're just going to put this in your play area, and it's worth a certain number of points at the end of the game. There will be 3 of these out. There's only ever 3. And you can only acquire 1 per round. So if, for instance, you meet both of these objectives on the same round, which would be difficult but possible, I guess, you can only acquire 1 or the other. The minor achievements, again, you can only acquire 1 per round, but there will be 3 of these randomly put out at the beginning of the game. And then as they are accomplished, they'll be refilled. So there will always be 3 of these out. And again, these are worth victory points as well. Not as much, but since you can always achieve them, there's always going to be 3 of them out. Much more likely that you're going to have these at the end of the game. And that's it. That's everything you're going to get in a copy of Super Motherload from Roxley Games.